Having access to hot drinks in cold weather or cold drinks on a hot day on a passage will make the crew much happier. But who wants to boil a kettle of water every time you want a cup of coffee or hot chocolate? And should you really be letting precious cold out of your refrigerator when the temps ramp up? Maybe an Airpot is the answer for you. Hi there, I'm Carolyn Sherlock, and in this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast, I'll share everything you need to know about Airpots to help you decide if one would be a good thing for your boat. Now, this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by Marmara Imports. Their hand-loomed, fair trade, organic cotton Turkish towels are highly absorbent, dry quickly, fold flat, and are soft and luxurious. Perfect for life aboard. Use coupon code PODCAST10, that's PODCAST10, for 10% off any order of $40 or more. MarmaraImports.com, more than a towel. Okay, so let's talk about Airpots. Lots of boaters prefer an Airpot to a thermos bottle when it comes to keeping coffee or water hot. While a thermos bottle may be more versatile, you can use it for soups and stews and thermos cooking, in addition to hot and cold drinks. An Airpot is extremely convenient, especially when you're underway. Now, I've been asked another number of times if a bottle would keep coffee hotter than an Airpot, or vice versa. And the answer is that there really isn't a difference between similar quality bottles and Airpots. Basically, a good Airpot will do just as good a job as a good thermos bottle, but a lesser quality of either one of them won't be as satisfactory. Now, if you're not familiar with the term Airpot, they're those pump-style dispensers you find in many coffee shops. While we see them most often for coffee, they're also good for hot water, hot chocolate, hot cider, as well as most cold drinks. You can even put ice or things like reusable plastic or stainless steel ice cubes into them. To serve a beverage, you simply hold a cup or a glass under the spigot, press on the pump. It's either a button or a lever. You can make a large pot of coffee in your favorite coffee maker, then pour it into the Airpot, or simply boil water and put it into the Airpot and let different people make their own instant drinks. Ditto for cold drinks. You can prepare iced tea, lemonade, or another drink right in the Airpot, or put cold or iced water in the Airpot and then let everyone make instant drinks. These are great on passage, and when everyone is on a different schedule, when one person is a coffee drinker, one likes a tea, maybe the kids want hot chocolate, lay in a stock of the Starbucks instant coffee. It's pretty good. And tea bags, instant hot chocolate, and you can cover everybody's needs. Now, the big advantage of an Airpot over a thermos bottle is the greatly reduced chance of hot water spilling and burning someone, or in hot water, having cold drinks easily available without opening the refrigerator. Underway, just wedge the Airpot in the sink so that if anything does spill, it goes right down the drain. Okay, I said that using an Airpot reduces the chances of boiling water spilling. But yes, you still have to pour the boiling water into the Airpot. Using a tea kettle or a coffee pot with a spout will make it a lot safer, as will putting the Airpot into the sink and wedging it in there so that you don't have to hold it. If you're short and there's a taller crew member on board, get them to do the pouring when the conditions are rough so that you are not lifting the hot pan overhead. I'm pretty short. I've had to ask Dave for help at times like this because the Airpot is taller than my thermos. Now, as with thermos bottles, the insulating ability of different Airpots varies greatly. The best ones are those with a vacuum liner. Next best have foam insulation, and the worst are those that just say they have double wall construction. You really need that vacuum between the walls. While cheap bottles are rarely any good, buying an expensive Airpot is not a guarantee of quality. While you can find many thermos bottles with stainless vacuum liners, most Airpots have a glass liner. While there is some breakage risk, keeping it wedged in place in the sink will almost totally eliminate the chances of it being thrown across the boat and breaking while in use. But you do have to find a place to store it where it's wedged in also. Now, with any glass-lined Airpot, It's important to preheat the unit with warm water before pouring hot liquids into it. That reduces both the chances of cracking the glass due to the sudden change in temperature, and it will heat up the interior so that you're not sort of wasting some of your coffee warmth to heat up the container. Most Airpots have either a stainless or plastic exterior. The plastic ones have a greater chance of cracking or breaking, particularly when stored. They're a little cheaper, but it's worth paying for the stainless. Plastic ones also tend to have more problems with breaking the seal on the vacuum, and once that seal is broken, the Airpot loses most of its insulating ability. Now, the other choice is whether you prefer a push-button pump or a lever. After reading literally hundreds of reviews, it seems fair to say that levers are both less likely to have problems and it takes less effort to pump. Some button pumps can tend to pinch fingers if the user isn't careful. This is really important if you've got younger kids on board. On most of the lever pumps, the pump can be locked down for storage. And of course, the levers do cost a little bit more, but I think they're worth it, and that's what we have. Oh, and the difference in color on some air pumps, orange versus black, well, that's because most Airpots are used in restaurants or offices where they serve both regular and decaf coffee. Black is regular and orange is decaf. Why orange? Back when decaf coffee first became popular, the major brand was Senka, and it came in an orange can. Obviously, if you only have one Airpot, it really doesn't matter what color, just pick whatever you want or which one's on sale. Now, your final choice is going to be size. Most hold around 2 quarts or roughly 64 ounces. A full mug typically holds about 10 ounces of liquid, so most Airpots will typically hold about 6 mugs of coffee or other drinks. There are some larger ones like 3-quart gallon Airpots available. One important thing to note, if you don't fill an Airpot full with either hot or cold, the contents won't stay hot or cold as long. So estimating the size that you'll need is important. We tend to like the 2-quart ones for just 2 people. One of the readers sent me data from some kitchen counter keep hot tests that he'd done on 3 Airpots. He tested a cheap plastic one, a cheap stainless one, and a pretty good one. And believe me, the pretty good one really does make a difference as far as how long. After 5 hours, the temperatures were about 40 degrees hotter for the coffee that was kept in that. At 24 hours, which is not totally unrealistic when you're on a passage, it was still about 50, 60 degree difference. What I learned when I was researching Airpots for myself, there are many glass-lined or stainless-lined Airpots out there that look like the ones with the vacuum liners. However, be careful, don't buy one that doesn't state that it's a vacuum liner, as only the vacuum liners are going to keep the drinks hot or cold as long as most boaters want. If you're in a particularly hot or cold climate, a really top quality Airpot is going to be even more critical. Most restaurants go through coffee quickly enough that they only care that it's going to stay warm for an hour. Then they don't want to pay the extra for a vacuum lined Airpot. And that's why there are so many out there that are not vacuum lined. But really, take the extra money. If you're going to get one, get the good one. In the show notes, we've got several of the really good Airpots that we found listed there. You can find them. And hope you enjoy. Have a wonderful hot cup of coffee in the middle of your 2 a.m. watch as you're seeing the stars and everything else. That's it for this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast. We hope that you have enjoyed it, learned something. Please be sure to subscribe and tell your friends about us. Thanks so much.